and despite having an estimated population of around 16,000 people,
it's completely cut off from the outside world. It's believed to have been founded in 1979.
And officially declared a town in 1995. And there is, along with a base hidden in the mountains,
that a number of top-secret Russian military projects are carried out. The residents are all either the employees or the families of the employees of the Russian government.
Which is why it's been possible to keep it under wraps. From what we do know about the town, it's likely the place.
For example, where Russia kept 73 of their nuclear warheads during the Cold War. And there are suggestions it's the location of the country's Dead Hand project. That can supposedly launch a powerful, world-altering strike on the rest of the world automatically. The less that's known about the town, the more rumors that spread about it too, such as it being where the Russians keep evidence of the existence of aliens, and where they're developing the next generation of mass destruction weaponry. Whatever the truth may be, it's certainly not something any ordinary citizens
or tourists will be able to find out, because if you get too close without permission, you'll soon be faced with the barrel of a rifle.
And the suggestion that you turn away. Number 9, North Sentinel Island, Bay of Bengal.
North Sentinel Island is a part of the Andaman Island archipelago in the Bay of Bengal, and falls within Indian territorial waters.
And the suggestion that you turn away. Number 9, North Sentinel Island, Bay of Bengal.
Travel to North Sentinel is strictly forbidden to protect the people who live there. Known to outsiders as the Sentinelese. They're one of the last remaining tribes in the world that are fully isolated. The reasons for this date back for centuries after a series of unfortunate encounters with passing vessels. And now the Sentinelese see any attempts by outsiders to visit the island as an aggressive act.
And they respond in kind. 2 fishermen who became stranded on one of the beaches in 2006 were...
And so was an American missionary who tried to make contact with them in 2018 to try and prevent this from happening.
There's a 5-mile exclusion zone around the island that's regularly patrolled by the Indian Navy, with the intent that the Sentinelese will be able to live their lives in peace,
without the risk of being interrupted by unwelcome visitors. Number 8, Pravchichka Brana, Czech Republic.
Located in Bohemian Switzerland, which is a region in northwestern Czech Republic, the Pravchichka Brana is a stunning natural sandstone arch. With a height of 52 feet and a width of 26 feet, a total span of 87 feet, it was once one of the most popular tourist attractions in the region, with people traveling far and wide to walk over the infamous arch. It was realized, however, that the more people that visited,
the quicker that the arch was beginning to deteriorate, and there was a huge concern that it would one organization.
Not only meaning the country would lose one of its most important landmarks, but also risk a huge humanitarian tragedy. It was decided in 1982, therefore, that everyone would be prohibited from walking across it, and are instead restricted to looking at it from afar. Since the new rules were put in place, there's been a noticeable slowdown in the rate of erosion, but even without the assistance of tourists, it's still wearing away. It's most likely that it will collapse at some point in the future, but that time is now a lot further away thanks to the ban. Number 7, Poveglia, Italy.
The Venetian Lagoon in northern Italy is an enclosed bay of the Adriatic Sea, where there's a number of protected islands.
Including most famously, Venice itself. The city is actually built across 118 small islands that are connected by more than 400 bridges. And it was first settled more than 2,500 years ago, and the surrounding islands have served in support of the main center.
One, known as Poveglia, is abandoned and access is highly restricted, not because of anything taking place there today,
but because of its storied past. It was originally inhabited, but in the face of war, the residents fled in 1379.
And for almost 400 years it was left empty. In 1776, though, Venetian authorities saw it as the perfect place to set up a quarantine station. The city had become a hub for tourism and trade, but there were increasing risks of people bringing illness such as the plague with them. So anyone showing any symptoms had to go there. It was used for this purpose for almost a century.
And then in 1922, the buildings were converted and turned into a mental asylum, before finally being abandoned in 1968.
During these 2 uses, countless people died on Poveglia, both because of disease and mistreatment. And it's more recently become known as the most haunted place on Earth. It's the potential presence of historical diseases within the soil. That's seen as the greatest threat, though, and to prevent those from re-emerging and infecting the modern-day city, there are huge penalties for anyone who sets foot there.
Number 6. Heard Island, Australia.
Despite falling under the jurisdiction of Australia, Heard Island is one of the most remote places on Earth.
Lying around 2,500 miles southwest of Perth, and 2,600 miles to the southeast of South Africa, in the Indian Ocean. It's on Heard Island, along with the surrounding McDonald Islands, that you'll find Australia's only 2 active volcanoes. And one of them, Mawson Peak, is the tallest mountain in Australia, reaching an elevation of 9,006 feet.
Because of where the islands are, they're also covered in 41 separate glaciers and are home to a wide range of different plant and animal species.
Although they're volcanic in origin, they're made up of mainly limestone and scattered pieces of other rocks. And this means that they're relatively fragile compared to most other islands. And this is why Australia forbids visitors from going there. Of course, this is a place that's so remote that there's virtually no chance that anyone would reach Heard Island without it being their specific destination. So with the rules in place, there have been fewer voyages to investigate the islands in the past half-century than have been sent to the moon.
But this isn't anything to do with safety. Instead, it's to prevent contamination on the island, so researchers can further study the development of new islands.
Bacteria, fungi, and molds were, for example, the first living organisms to appear on Surtsey. And these provide the...
It is believed there are 89 species of birds and 335 invertebrates in the area, and this number is only expected to increase as time passes.
Number 2. Niihau Island, USA.
The westernmost and 7th largest island in the Hawaiian archipelago is known as Niihau, and covering an area of 69 square miles.
It's 17.5 miles southwest of Kauai, despite being a lush, wetland region that's as beautiful as the rest of Hawaii.
You won't find any resorts to stay in there, and the closest you'll get is a half-a-day helicopter tour to see the island from a distance.
That's because of an unusual political agreement that means only people authorized by the island's owners are allowed to go there.
And they're notoriously restrictive with who they welcome. The island was sold to Elizabeth Sinclair by the Kingdom of Hawaii in 1864 for $10,000.
Which is the equivalent of around $170,000 today. And it's her descendants, the Robinsons, that are still in charge.
Only members of the family and their relatives, along with U.S. Navy personnel, government officials, and the occasional invited guest are allowed on the island. And this has allowed for the development of a community that's detached from the outside world. This doesn't mean they have nothing to do with anyone else, though. They've had a long-standing relationship with the U.S. military, to the point where there's a small installation on the island. Bacteria, fungi, and molds were, for example, the first living organisms to appear on Surtsey. And these provide the...
After building an economy that was mainly sustained by farming, they're all virtually self-sufficient. No rent has to be paid by residents.
And meat is free to everyone that lives there. All electricity is provided by solar power, and there are no vehicles, with islanders instead relying on horses for their transport. Number 1. Heart Reef, Australia.
Coral reefs around the world are some of the most spectacular sights you'll ever see. But there's one in Australia that's the most photogenic of all.
Known as the Heart Reef, it's part of the Great Barrier Reef, but it's slightly detached from the larger structure.
And has, by sheer coincidence, taken on a shape that looks very much like a heart. Surrounded by crystal clear water. And with countless species thriving in the reef, it became the central part of a number of tourism campaigns.
And attracted a huge number of snorkelers and divers who wanted to experience it for themselves. As is often the case, however,
increasing foot traffic led to increased destruction of the reef structure, and there were concerns that if things kept going at the same rate,
the Heart Reef would have been irreparably damaged within a few years. The decision was made to ban anyone from visiting. And now the only chance you have of getting your own photo of the romantic outcrop is by hiring a helicopter.